Great. All right. Hey everyone, welcome back to Better Business Conversations. My name is Brittany Andretian. I'm a business success coach with Practice Better, and today I am joined with Frannie Coggeshall of 𝗕𝗲𝘁𝗁𝗂𝗧𝗏. So for those of you who don't know who Frannie is or 𝗕𝗲𝘁𝗁𝗂𝗧𝗏, they are a digital ad agency that helps purposeful female entrepreneurs amplify their impact and income through Facebook and Instagram ads. So after many years of working in an ad agency in New York City, Frannie was craving more freedom and flexibility in her life and career. And so she dove into all things digital marketing strategies, went on to create 𝗕𝗲𝘁𝗁𝗂𝗧𝗏. So she brings the passion, the flair, and the expertise to help run ads so women can help scale their businesses. So welcome, Frannie. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited, to be here and to share about ads. I'm very nerdy when it comes to Facebook ads, so really excited.
Awesome. Yeah, so we're going to be jumping into the topic today of 7 things you need to know before investing in Facebook ads. So what we're going to do here, I'm going to turn off my camera and Frannie's going to take it away, screen share, and show you guys the ropes. So I'll pass it over to you, Frannie.
Okay, cool. Let me get my presentation up. Oh, I think I have to share before I do that. 1 second. Okay, here we go. So today I'm going to share with you the 7 things you need before investing in Facebook ads. And I love this topic because there is so much excitement around ads. People really get super motivated, especially when they see results that other people might have gotten with their ads. But it's also very important to make sure that you plan before you actually make this investment, because it is a big investment of sometimes your time and also money. So I just love to educate people on what they need before diving in. Also, I know Brittany already introduced me, but just to give you a little bit more information about me, I started my career at a startup in New York City, and I was working 12-hour days, and I loved it for a really long time. It was pretty crazy. But eventually, I wanted a bit more freedom, and I really wanted to dive more into the digital marketing space. So I took lots of online courses and ended up at a Facebook ads agency. We ran ads for people like Amy Porterfield and Michael Hyatt and Brooke Castillo, people who are really big in the online course space. And I learned so much there. I loved working there. We even ran ads for some e-commerce companies. One that was really funny was a company in Maine that sold lobsters. So we were kind of shipping lobsters, which was really hilarious. But I love working with those online course creators just because of how impactful online courses were in my life. So eventually I went on to create my own business, 𝗕𝗲𝘁𝗁𝗂𝗧𝗏, and I met my first client as a true remote worker, digital nomad, I guess, at a cafe in Bali. And you can see a picture here of our team. We recently had a goat visiting our quarterly festival. We support female online course creators in elevating their businesses and lives through paid ads. We offer full ads management where we do everything for you. We work with you and teach you ads if you want a little bit extra support doing it yourself. And we also just teach through courses and other products. First, let's talk a little bit about what ads can help you do. One of our clients was able to pay off $50K in debt because of the results we delivered her with her ads. Another client was able to stop sort of selling so much on Instagram when her dad was sick, so she didn't have to show up every day and work on selling her product or growing her email list. The ads helped her do that so she could take time with her family. We've helped multiple clients make over $1 million in profit thanks to their ads. Some of our clients have bought homes. Others have hired teams to help them run their business. Not to mention, because we help support online course creators, it's all the trickle down success of their students as well, right? It's not just the client's results, but it's also the results of their students, which I'm sure, you know, if you're in a wellness business and you're working with different types of clients, that's something that's super important to you too. Now, I was talking a little bit about this earlier, just kind of like the excitement and hype of ads, and I even, you know, kind of fed into that a little earlier or just now with some of those things I shared with you. But I also want to be super clear that the purpose of ads are to drive traffic to your business. And of course, there's lots of other things that can happen after that are really amazing and really exciting, but you do need to think of ads as your traffic driver. And I'll get into the 7 things in just a minute, but I want to make sure I really explain to you what ads can do for you and the purpose of them. So keep this in mind. Now, what can you use ads for, right? So you can use them to get more traffic to your engaging content. You can use them for growing your email list, for driving sales to maybe a low-priced product or a workshop that you want to do. And you can even build interest for your course or maybe some bigger group programs that you have. And another really important thing to know about ads is the snowball effect that they create for you. So maybe in the first month when you start, you have, you know, a group of people in your warm audience. We call this, you know, the people that might be following you on Instagram or on your email list, that type of stuff. And when you run ads, you consistently grow that. And so while you may not see everybody who newly joins your email list from ads, you know, buying something from you right away or fully engaging, after you continue to nurture them, they do start doing those things. And if you're consistently bringing new people in month 3, in month 6, in month 9, that really starts to snowball for you. And those people who are newer, sure, maybe they're not taking as much action right away. But as you continue to grow your ads, the people that have been there from the ads in month 1, in month 3, it really starts to snowball and exponentially grow your business for you. So now let's dive into the 7 things that you need to have before investing in Facebook ads. First, you want to have a successful product or offer. It doesn't necessarily have to be actually you know, something that you're selling right away. Maybe you just want to share some content, free content to get people on your list, but you need to have something that people want. And I'll dive deeper into each of these, but I wanted to go through all of them first. You need to have a converting funnel, and that's basically just a system that allows your business to take those people that you get from ads and turn them into people on your email list or purchasers or people engaging with your content. It's the system that you build. You also want to really know your audience deeply. And if you have a successful product and a converting funnel, you probably already do, but it's so important to Facebook ads that I wanted to make sure to mention it and talk a little bit more about it. You also want to have the proper tech set up. Of course, Facebook ads are a tech system, so there are some nuances there that we'll talk about. You want to make sure to have assets for your ads, right? You need to have certain things in place so that you can build ads, right? You also need to have resources, right? And we'll talk about that, whether it be time or money or other things. And finally, you want to have the right mindset, right? When you go into anything, you really want to make sure that you're clear on what you can expect and what the purpose of, this next steps that you're taking are. So yeah, let's dive a little bit deeper into each of those. So first, you want to have a successful product, right? People really need to want what you're offering. So before you put ads behind anything, you want to make sure that the people who already know your business are engaged in what you're sharing. So even if you just want to get some more excitement around your content or more people to digest your content, whether that be a video or a podcast or a blog post, you should already know that your audience likes it, right? Maybe it was your most engaging video that you posted or your highest read blog. If you're going to put ads behind it, yeah, you definitely want to make sure it's something people want. And then you also want to get feedback, right? So this sort of goes a little bit more into the space of if you're creating a freebie download or a webinar or even a product, you definitely want to get feedback and testimonials before using ads so you can refine the product as you go and make sure that it's digestible and gives your audience what they need. And you can also use those testimonials to boost your credibility and make that sort of word of mouth marketing work for you in a sense. Of course, it's not really word of mouth, but seeing that other people have already used your products or commented on your content, things like that really help other people who don't know you feel like it's something worth checking out. And so, yeah, don't start with ads for anything. Instead, use them to amplify something you already know is successful. That's really important. The next thing you want to have is a converting funnel. And if you're not totally familiar with funnels yet, this is basically just a system that allows people to go from first finding you to then engaging with you, maybe joining your email list, maybe digesting more of your content, and finally buying from you. So that's kind of what I mean when I say a funnel. And you really want to be able to convert those people, like I mentioned before, from ads that didn't buy initially. You do want to have that funnel system working for you so that they do buy from you eventually. And of course, there will always be some people who just don't buy. That's all right. But you want to make sure there are enough people converting that you can keep your business going, of course. Ultimately, your goal is to build a marketing system. So let's talk just a little bit about that. Right? So you can see here, there's a lot here, but you can see that Facebook ads, right? The Facebook logo, that's just one piece of your converting funnel, your marketing system. And that's a way to get traffic to your business, right? I said earlier, Facebook is a traffic driver. You can also speak at events or use SEO, or if you have a podcast, those are all ways to get people to your business. And that's great, but if you don't have the other side of things working, like if you don't have landing pages that convert or a webinar that converts, or if you're not getting people to engage, you don't have products that convert, you're really going to struggle. You can drive all of the traffic you want to your business, but you do have to really work on both sides of things. And I share this with people before they invest in ads, because sometimes people come really excited to run ads and they want to dive right in, but they've heard maybe someone didn't get great results from ads, or they tried ads a little bit and they haven't gotten the results they wanted. It's not necessarily the ads' fault. There's a lot of times when it's some of the other things on the back end. So you have to know, you just have to be aware of this, and you've got to work on things simultaneously. But you really should have this sort of converting funnel set up, even if it's just a landing page to getting people to sign up to your email list, right? and then some emails to follow up with those people. That can be very simple, but you do want to make sure you have that piece before you invest in ads. And it kind of goes in a circle, right? So maybe people come from your Facebook ad, then they meet your business, they look at your landing page, they sign up for your webinar, but they don't buy. And then they go back through the loop because they start to follow your Instagram, or, you know, they see you on Pinterest, and the cycle continues until, of course, you know, hopefully they end up purchasing something from you. So that's just another big important thing to know before you invest in ads. You want to have this system built up. It can start very simple and then gets complex as you go. Then you also really want to know your audience deeply. I mentioned before that if you have these other two things, a successful product, a converting funnel, you probably already know your audience deeply, but it's so vital to the success of your ads, right? So you want to make sure that you know your audience more than just, okay, like I want to get fit, right? Like I want to get in shape. You want to know why they want to get fit. You want to know why they want to get in shape. Do they want to be able to go on vacations with their friends and hike and bike and not feel winded? Or do they want to go to the beach and feel comfortable? Like what are those deeper things? That's the stuff that's going to really work in your ad copy, in your ad visuals. That's really going to compel these people who don't know you, right? Because with your Facebook ads, you're putting your stuff in front of people who don't know you at all and hoping that they're going to be attracted to what you're sharing with them. And when you know your audience deeply, when you really understand, you know, those things that compel them or that drive them, you'll be able to attract those people. You'll stick out, right? The news feed, we say the news feed, but it's also, you know, the IG story feed and social media in general is really busy. And so you want to be able to speak to them in a way that they feel, you know, really understood, and that you're sharing something that is, you know, a big thing for them, whether it be a big desire or a big pain point. And all of that really truly comes from deeply knowing your audience. So you want to do this when you're getting started in your business, and you want to do it consistently throughout. A lot of that comes from getting feedback or testimonials after you've shared something with your audience, right? It can even come from some of the comments in your Instagram or in your DMs, things like that. So just keep, you know, listening to your audience and getting to know them as best you can. That's something that's going to make your Facebook ads even more successful. And you really don't want to dive into ads until you have this, you know, have a lot of this information. Next is a proper tech setup. And I would say this is probably the least fun part of Facebook ads, unless you're super techie. But if you're super techie, you're probably already working on ads or something on the other side of things. I know, you know, people creating products and, you know, all those types of things are more creative. So I know this can be a little bit of sometimes even an objection of why people might not want to run ads, but there is some tech that goes into it. So I want to share a little bit of that with you, but for the most part, it can be fairly simple. One thing that you need to have is the ability to do a little bit of back-end tech work, like placing some simple code. And I know that might sound, you know, to somebody who's not familiar with tech stuff, that might sound a little bit like, I've got to mess with the code of my site, but there's tons of very simple YouTube videos, lots of information on Facebook, even how to place the code that you need to place. It's usually at the top of the page, super simple. You're not going to break anything, but you do need to be able to do that. You need to have a business manager and an ad account. Those are things that you set up with Facebook so that you can run ads. And I highly recommend, if you are thinking about running ads in the near future, to actually get that set up pretty soon, because then you can create a Facebook pixel and get it on your site. And you might not run ads for a long time, but Facebook, if you have the pixel on your site, you can actually go back and create an audience of people that landed on your website in the last year or so. I think that's as far as you can go back, as a year. But you can say also anybody who landed on my site in the last 30 days, or even landed on this blog post in the last 60 days. Maybe you have a blog post that's super aligned with a product you want to sell, things like that. So if you can, yeah, set up the Business Manager and ad account and get the pixel on your site. You also want to have both a Facebook and Instagram profile that are a business profile, right? So a personal Facebook profile doesn't work for ads. You need to set up like an actual business page. And also for your Instagram profile, if you want to be able to create an audience of people who liked your Instagram post or DM'd you, things like that, those are really great audiences to use. Hint, hint. You'll want it to be a business profile. A lot of you might have a creator profile. You can use that up until you start to run ads, but you do need the business profile to be able to create those audiences. I'm not sure why Facebook does it that way, but it's just the rule. And then you also need one domain for every platform in your funnel. This is getting a little bit more complicated with the tech, but it is important to know. Sometimes when you have an information or a service-based business, online product-based business, you might have your main website, and then maybe you lead someone to a lead pages site. And maybe if they're gonna buy something from you, they check out on Thrivecart or something along those lines. And you do need to make sure you're not using 3 different domains there, like Nicole.com and Nicole.Thrivecart or Nicole. Lead pages. You have to do a little bit of tweaking to make sure they're all on the same domain. It's a little bit complicated, but it's very easily done once you know how to do it. It's just a video. I had our tech guy create a video, so that's how we do it. I know that is even a little bit advanced for me, but yeah, so you do need to be able to do some techie stuff, or maybe you have a tech VA help you. There's lots of great people on Fiverr if that's not your jam. But yeah, as long as you're able to get this tech set up, then you'll be in a good place to run ads. Then you also want to have proper ad assets. So excuse me. So you can see here we have a couple of ads, and these are actually different women, but I'm realizing now they look fairly similar. But to create these actual ads, we had to know about their avatar, right? And even if it's your own business, even if you're creating your own ads, you do want to kind of have all the information on your avatar. We talked earlier about knowing them deeply, all of that put into one place, whether it's feedback or research you did with a survey or in a Facebook group, or even like copying, pasting some of your Instagram comments, put that all in one place, and that will help you write your ad copy. You also want to have some proven copies. So maybe that's on a sales page, in an email, in an Instagram post, and then you'll just adjust it a bit to turn it into an ad copy. You want to have some photos. So you can see these photos from these women are pretty professional, but they don't have to be so professional. They can be a little bit more casual. They can totally be on your iPhone, right? But I would recommend that you take your own images versus using stock photo. We've tested it a lot, and 99% of the time, real images work better. You also want to have some video, right? Video ads perform really well. So you could do some B-roll. If you're maybe a yoga teacher, you could do some video of you doing some yoga moves. Or if you're a nutritionist, you could do some videos of you making meals, things like that. And maybe you put a little text over it. Even if you don't feel comfortable talking, like I said, yeah, you could just use some of that B-roll. There's tons and tons of free apps that you can use to create a video ad with that content. But you do have to have kind of that initial raw asset of video or images to put that all together. And finally, you want to have branding, right? I mean, most people when they start their business get the branding first, but if you haven't kind of done that yet, you definitely want to have a brand guide, especially if you're having someone help you with ads, or if you're having someone at least even create the ads for you. That way your ad visuals will match with what people are seeing on the landing pages, which is really important, and just match with your brand in general, right? You want it to be a cohesive visual experience for them. Even sometimes in your branding might be some details about what you like, how you like to talk, right? You could see, if someone wrote an ad for you, you could see some lines that are like, that doesn't feel like me, or that's actually not something that would attract my audience. You could make some comments there. Even maybe like the emojis you like to use, right? So that could be put in your branding doc. Just super helpful to have something like that. Next is resources, right? So you really want to have enough resources when you are going to invest in ads. The first thing is time, right? Even if you're having someone run ads for you, you saw that you need to put together, you know, some assets, right? There's time involved in that. You need to make sure that your product and your funnel are working. There's time involved with that. And it's time before you create the ads, but also after you create the ads, because you're not just gonna, I mean, if you get lucky or you're very strategic, you might create ads and they'll deliver you results quickly. But a lot of times there is some testing that needs to be done, which means you might need to create some new ads, or you might need to adjust your landing pages a little bit to make them convert better, right? In that case, you need to have the time. I do think that I've seen people invest in ads and say like, oh, I'll spend an hour every week. And that sometimes happens, but in the beginning, you really need to have a little bit more time than that. I would say a few hours every week if you're running them on your own. And it of course depends on the spend, right? If you're spending really low amount, you might not need anywhere near as much time than if you're really building a big campaign. You also might need some people to help you, right? I talked about a lot of things that you have to have in place. So you might need a tech VA, or you might need somebody to help you manage, if you're gonna run ads to say a program, maybe you need somebody on your team to help you manage some of the customer service involved in that. Most of the time when you get started, you might not need that, but I do like to share that, you know, typically the type of person who's ready to run ads might be working with a few contractors, right? You might need somebody to write some copy or create some ad visuals. So just keep that in mind. And then finally, you need some money, because when you invest in ads, there is a cost. And this one is important because, one, you need to go into the ads with a testing budget, right? You need to say, okay, I'm willing to test for a few months at this budget, and then I will make some decisions. But if you only give yourself a little bit of money and a little bit of time, you really are not going to give ads the full test, right? You have to be ready to do a little bit of an investing, and I'll talk about some amounts in a minute. But and another thing to keep in mind is with ads, it's sometimes easy to look very specifically at how much you spent and then what the return was right away. And of course, those numbers are very important, and it's one of the best things about ads. But also, I want you to think about when you invest in, you know, building a new website or working with a coach, or, you know, an online course program or something to host your online course, things like that. You don't look at it and say, okay, and in the first few days or the first few weeks, like, did I make my money back right away, right? You know that it's a long-term investment. So I think because you can see how much you spent so clearly with ads, people kind of get caught up in that. But you really do need some time to test. So let's talk about specific numbers, because this is a big Big thing people ask me. So if you just want to run an awareness campaign, maybe get some people viewing your blog or your podcast, things like that, you can start as low as $5 a day, right? Maybe even getting people digest some video content. That can be fairly low cost. Know that based on how much you spend, that's how much or how fast you'll learn. Obviously, the more you spend, the more you'll learn quickly. But you do want to balance that with like, okay, are we just going to toss a bunch of money at Facebook and hope we learn something, right? So my suggestion would be $5 per day for awareness. If you want to grow your email list, I would say give a test of $10 a day. And this kind of depends actually what you are using to grow your email list, but I'm going to assume it's a PDF in this case, right? If you're going to do maybe a webinar, you probably have an online course or something else tied to the other end of it. Those leads are a little bit more expensive. But if you're just doing a PDF or like an email course maybe, or anything like that, you can usually expect around $2, $3 per lead. It depends on your niche, but I would say $10 a day is good for that. If you want to market a low price product, maybe it's a $30 template, a set of email templates or social media templates. I know that's like really hot right now. Or maybe it's a meal plan, something like that you're going to charge $30 for, or something like that. I would suggest you test 3 times the value. And this is a little bit nuanced because, you know, I would test that in the first week or so, right? And then from there, you can see what you want to do, what results you're getting. If you have some upsells on the back of that, sometimes people will have like, okay, you can get this $30 product, and then maybe you also want this extra thing with it for $10, or maybe you want to upsell into my 3-week course for a special price. So you've got to take the full price into consideration when you do this 3 times the value thing. If you're going to do a full online course funnel with a webinar opt-in or a workshop opt-in, and then inviting people to invest in your course, whether it's $400, $800, $1,000, you do want to spend at least 3 times that value of the course per month. It is a big investment, but you do really need to get enough data to make some decisions. And then finally, the last thing that you want to think about before you're investing in ads is having the right mindset. So you want to first adopt an ABT, always be testing mindset. This is something we say all the time, but really a big part of investing in ads is not just preparing to invest in ads or building the campaigns, the ads themselves. It's actually what happens after you start running the ads. So you need to know that you'll have to do a lot of testing for the most part. Sometimes people, like I said, they run their ads and they get great results right away. That happens for sure. But more likely, you're going to have to do some testing, whether it be targeting or if it's on your different ad creatives, things like that. So just keep in mind that you should always be testing, even when things are going well. Sure, maybe you take a little bit of a break, but there's always different things that you can be improving. So keep that in mind. Also, so vital is that tracking and data will lead you to success. And I know a lot of us creative people, myself included, don't always love tracking numbers or looking at data. This might be where one of those resources comes into place, where it's someone on your team that helps you with that. But it's absolutely vital to look at the data and track things for your ads, or else you're not going to know what's working, what's not, where your money is going, and what's delivering you the results that you want. So super, super important. Also, like I said before, ads are a piece of your marketing system. A lot of people get into the mindset of, I'm just going to run ads to my business and get new people all the time and money will come. And Sure, maybe sometimes that happens for a little bit, but it's really, a piece of your entire marketing system. It's worth reiterating, which is why I'm saying it again here. And then the last thing in your mindset is just knowing that it's a long-term strategy. You may not get results. It's common not to get results right away, but instead you keep testing, you keep tracking, and you see what comes from that. You improve upon it, and long term, just like remember the snowball effect I talked about, right? Long term, it's going to consistently bring new people to your business. And should you have all the right things in place with your product and your funnel, things like that, people will convert continuously. And yeah, it can be very, very successful for you. So those are the 7 things you want to have in place before you start running Facebook ads. And yeah, the best way to invest in ads is to plan before you pay. It'll save you a lot of time, a lot of headaches, and definitely a lot of money. So yeah, that is it for today. I know that maybe Brittany, you might have some questions. We can kind of talk through any of those if you want to, connect on that.
Awesome. Yeah, that was so information packed. You're clearly an expert. I know that I'm a nutritionist as well. I've dabbled in ads, and it's really daunting and overwhelming at first. And that's how I actually came to know about Elevate Her Marketing, was because I was seeking out information. So great to hear that presentation on the 7 things to consider. And I really love that you kind of outline all these things that you should have in place beforehand, because I'm sure so many people watching this can relate that when you're a business owner, you're like, mind is going to a million different places at once, thinking about all the things that you should be doing and need to prioritize and where to start kind of idea. But it's really nice to see like an organized outline of things you really need to kind of have your hands on prior to jumping into ads, because we get so focused on that growth, right, of like our social media and our email newsletter list that we forget about coming up with the stuff first. So I loved that. And I loved how you talked about testing, because I think, again, if you're someone who's really eager to jump into ads and you try it out for the first time, maybe it doesn't go the way that you think it should when you see all those people talking about the amazing results that it can bring into your business. So when it comes to testing, what are some metrics of success that people can look for to say like, okay, we've tested, I've done this a few times now, and this is how I know what's working, versus we need to rejig this and this is maybe falling a little bit short?
Yeah, this is kind of a complicated question, because when you look at ads, I'll give you some sort of average metrics because I know people love to hear that, but it's also a mixture of different metrics. So for example, right, you want to have about a 1% click-through rate on your ads, which means of the people who saw them, how many clicked. And yeah, you definitely want to have at least 1% there. And then when it comes to, like I said earlier, maybe for a lead cost, you want to have, if it's a PDF, maybe $2 to $3. If it's a webinar, maybe $4 to $6. But it's also a combination of a few things, right? So if you're doing a full funnel, sometimes we see, okay, we're growing our email list, we have a good click-through rate, our lead cost is around $8. That's a little high for what we want to see, but actually 3 people already bought. And in a different ad set, right, nobody bought, but the leads are only $4. So you kind of have to take a few things into consideration. Essentially, you want people moving further and further down the funnel, right? So like clicking on the ad, clicking on or getting to the page, becoming a lead, even maybe checking out your cart page if they added the product to their cart. So the more you can see that that's happening, I would say that's when you look at the whole picture. But if none of that is happening, that's when you're kind of like, okay, actually my click-through rate for a lot of my ads is way below 1%. So maybe I need to rejig some of my ads, test something different. And yeah, so in terms of how to know when to make that decision, it's kind of like, you know, if there's only one click, you can't make that much take that much information. But I would say if you have 10 to 20 clicks on an ad, that's when you can make a decision.
Right, definitely. And I know you kind of seem to focus on Facebook and Instagram. So what would your advice be for someone who has maybe put a lot of time and effort into their Instagram profile and they're really building that up and they have a community there and they have their Facebook linked because you have to have the business account, but they don't really pay much attention to it. Should they still be running Facebook ads there, or should they maybe focus predominantly on Instagram where they have a vetted community who knows who they are and they're putting active work into that daily?
Yeah, that's a great question, and something I think a lot of people run into nowadays, especially because a lot of us are, myself included, really focused on Instagram. What I would say is to run it on both platforms, because you will be surprised actually how much. The one exception is if your audience is super young, like even, maybe 18 or something like that, maybe they're not the right fit. But even I have clients who are Instagram influencers, right? They spend all their time on Instagram and they make a lot of sales. Their audience is 21 plus. They make a lot of sales on Facebook. The one thing I would say is if you can try to just post content on that Facebook page, it can be the same that you post on your Instagram. That helps the algorithm a bit, but otherwise you're still okay. I would test both and just see the number of sales that you get.
Yeah, definitely. Gotcha. And I see, especially on Facebook more so, but some ads that are really long, personal anecdotes where, they're painting this picture in this story. And then there's others that are really short and sweet. So what's your advice when you're coming up with that copy? Is this just like a personal preference thing, or is there one that's maybe kind of proven somehow to be more successful when running ads?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I would say the best way to go about it is to use a variety. So maybe use some short, direct copy that's kind of like, hey, do you have this problem? I mean, not specifically, but a pain point, and then, hey, I can help you with it. Sign up for this thing or whatever, short and direct. And then test something out that is a little bit more story-based, a little bit longer, and see what your audience resonates with. That's what we find really works the most, is using that variety. And then from there, figuring out what your audience loves or what they connect with. I will say I've tested tons of ads for tons of different people, and it's always different of which type of ad works better for which brand. And even it changes over time. So it's really about, testing different things. Oh, I think you're still
I'm muted. There we go. Well, that's awesome. And so much information for people to kind of absorb and take in when thinking about running ads. And so you mentioned too that sometimes we don't need to do it all ourselves, and we can outsource and contract with certain people to help with either, whether it's the graphics or the copy or different elements of it. So is that something that Elevate Her Marketing does, where people can connect with you to find those that additional help?
Yeah, for sure. So we can help people with learning how to DIY their ads, or just getting support on running their ads, things like that. And even can connect you with somebody who could help create an ad for you. I think the best way probably to connect with us is on Instagram, and that's just at Elevate Her Marketing. And you can even click the link in my bio and get a PDF version of all the stuff I just mentioned in the presentation.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so for anyone who's wanting to connect further, we'll have all the links in the description, and you guys can go and further check it out and connect with Elevate Her Marketing to see what they're all about. Is there anything else you wanted to share with our audience before we sign off for today?
No, I think that's it. I think just if you're feeling excited about ads, don't be afraid. Just make sure, you plan before you dive in, and they can do a lot of really great things for your business.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Frannie, so much for sharing with us today. And we will, have all the ways to connect with Frannie and Elevate Her Marketing down below. So thanks again.
Thanks, Brittany. Have a good one.